So, welcome everyone. Before we get started, I have a quick question for all the parents who are here tonight. Who's more excited for the school year to start, the kids or you? What do you think? Because let's be honest, the only thing harder than being a teacher is homeschooling your own kids during Zoom classes, right? Obviously, we're all on Zoom tonight.
You're
I
getting
mean,
a lot
half
of
of you,
these.
yes. And half of you deserve an honorary teaching degree at this point for what went on when we were all teaching on Zoom. All right, let's get started and give our amazing teachers back the reins this year. So once again, good evening, parents, and thank you for joining us on Zoom this evening. And we can't wait to greet you all, parents and guardians, and welcome to our IS-59 virtual Meet the Teacher night. I'm so excited to join you tonight as we embark on an incredible journey this school year at IS-59Q Middle School. While we may be meeting virtually, our commitment to your children's education and well-being remains stronger than ever. For the 2024-2025 school year, my vision for our students is simple: to inspire curiosity, foster resilience, and cultivate a community where every child feels seen, valued, and capable of achieving greatness. Our goals for this year focus on creating engaging learning experiences, building meaningful relationships, and nurturing students' academic and social growth. Together, we aim to empower them to embrace challenges, take ownership of their learning, and become leaders both in and out of the classroom. I want to take a moment to thank our dedicated teachers and administration who have worked tirelessly to prepare for this year. Their passion for your children's success is evident in everything they do, and I'm truly grateful to have them as part of the IS-59Q family. As we look forward to a wonderful year ahead, I'd like to leave you with this quote from Nelson Mandela: "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Let's continue working together to make this year the best one yet for our students. Thank you, and I look forward to a fantastic school year with you all. And now I turn the meeting over.
Mrs. Dunson or Mr. Darby, are you there?
Yes, you can do next slide. Welcome, families, on behalf of all the staff at IS-59. We're going to go through the agenda. You can go to the next slide. We're excited to meet you virtually for this year. I'm Assistant Principal Brooks Dunson. Just to go through the agenda for this evening. Some of the times may be modified because we started a bit late. The flow of the evening is going to be by department. So we have the IS-59 welcome from the leadership and environment team, followed by ELA math, then science, social studies, the arts, foreign language, physical education, honor society, and then 8th grade senior committee. While we're going through, we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions. Feel free to place the questions into the chat, and team members will answer your questions at that time. You can go to the next slide. So the leadership environment team members
I just want
are
to make sure we're recording.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you.
leadership and environment team members. We have Principal Cook, whom you just met, myself, Zina Brooks Dunson, I'm assistant principal. AP Darby is here, and you'll hear from him shortly, followed by Mr. Boza, who's our dean. We have Miss Blackman as the guidance counselor, Miss Orlando as the guidance counselor, and Miss J.K. Woods as the social worker. You can reach out to any team member of the administrative team if you want to contact any of the staff members, and we will also be sharing emails and this slide deck with you. You can next slide. So the next couple of slides review our mission, vision, and instructional focus. I'm going to continue with this slide. So our vision is scholars at Intermediate School 59 Queens are literate and agentic problem solvers who use their natural talents, gifts, and abilities as springboards to high level of academic achievement. Scholars leave IS 59 with a balance of grade appropriate academic and social emotional skills they will need to access college, career, and beyond. Next slide. The mission. Our teachers will collaborate to provide access to engaging and challenging curricula that acknowledge all of our students' strengths, their cultures, and promote 21st century skills. When planning for the needs of all students, sorry about that, our teachers will promote choice and student voice that builds student agency. To support the whole child, we will develop trusting and respectful relationships with our families and the broader community that help us nurture our students' natural gifts, talents, and abilities, as well as their social and emotional growth. Our scholars will demonstrate complex thinking and reasoning through rich discussions and writing for a variety of purposes in preparation for the demands of college, career, and real-world challenges. Next slide, please. The IS 59 instructional focus. Across all content areas, teachers will utilize and establish school-wide checks for understanding protocol and an established school-wide feedback protocol that will allow students to share in their learning, revise their thinking, and improve their work products. Next slide, please. Ms. Leverett, you can see that. Okay.
Yes. So good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Leverett. I am your parent coordinator. And I just wanted to point out some very important things for you to know. I am always available. My cell phone is there on the screen, as is my landline phone. It's a direct number, so you don't have to go through the main school's calling board. You can call me directly and certainly email me. But I want you to know that it's extremely important that every single parent and guardian has their NYCSA account set up. That is the best way for us to be able to get in touch with you. That's the way that you can keep track of your child's grades, test scores, transportation information, and especially attendance. Keep that up to date, as well as your emergency and medical contacts and all your phone numbers. Very important that we're able to reach you at all times. In order for IS 59 to continue to receive Title I funding for additional academic enrichment programming, we also need you to fill out the Family Income Inquiry Form. So hopefully I will be sending this PowerPoint to you at the end of this meeting, everyone who's logged on, and you will have the QR codes and can access both of those documents. Okay, so parents will be sent invitations to join end of unit performances and presentations. When your children are doing their unit projects, they will many times have some great performances for you to come see or ending projects, and you will certainly be invited to come to the classrooms to see that. You can visit the different clubs and activities that they have throughout the school year. They haven't really gotten off the ground yet, but they'll be going, and the students are the ones who choose those clubs. You'll be invited to engage in curriculum events and workshops. You'll have the year-long NYC Public Schools calendar, the monthly school calendars, of course, come out backpacked home and also on the website every month at the beginning of the month. There are bi-monthly surveys that are also on the website, and I'll be sending those out in emails as well. Right now, the September-October survey is up. So please, if you haven't filled that out, do so. Parents and guardians must keep in contact, updated also on the blue cards. So if you haven't gotten those 2 blue cards completely filled out and returned, please make sure that you do that this week. And your participation in the PTA, the school leadership team, the Title I committee is highly, highly encouraged. If parents are not involved in those things, they're not really up on what's going on all the time. And we know that you need to know that so that you can help your children throughout the school year. We have a family handbook, which is currently on the website. It is due for revision, so it will be replaced soon. And of course, that website is D29IS59 Queens. We also have an Instagram page, and now we have a Facebook page. So as Mr. Cook would say, please like Facebook page, everyone. Tell your friends to like the Facebook page, and the Instagram page, follow it as well. Emails are important, phone calls are important, text messaging is important. So those again are my numbers. And I have every Monday when school is in session, half an hour where you can just pop in and talk to me and see me virtually from 2:30 to 3 p.m. and check in and chat. And so you just register for that, and you can just pop in and have a say, whatever you want to find out, talk to me, tell me new things too. We have community partners who are great. We work with the New York Foundling. We work with the YMCA, as you know, after school. That application process is going on now. The Royal Foundation works with our children. Year Up, Joe's Music Academy for our Saturday music programs. Elevate Education within the classroom. Nigel Sylvester Foundation donates books and bicycles for attendance reasons. If your children are doing well in attendance, they may get a bicycle. You never know. And backpacks. And Legal Outreach is a wonderful program that works with our 8th graders. They have mock trials during the summer, and they really learn how to be lawyers, and they get followed all the way through college. They're great mentors as well.
And I just have to pause you right there, Ms. Leverett, just for a moment.
Sure.
Every day we are selling ices because those youngsters did such a wonderful job last year. They won first place. So our goal is to raise the money by selling ices and other things so that they will have a coach bus to go to their trial this year, whether they don't place at all or if they win first place again.
And then what we don't have on here is our debate team, because we have our debate program head who works with the children as well, and they have come in first place in the past. So we also want to elevate them and give them a shout out as well. So our debate team is number 1 too. I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Ms. Leverett, for the definite dive into our partnerships. But I want to talk about the social emotional learning initiatives that we have at IS59. Social emotional learning is a developmental process that helps people develop skills to manage emotions, build relationships, and make responsible decisions. SEL is also known as socio-emotional learning and social emotional literacy. As you know, students come to school for the four core subjects, which is ELA, math, science, and social studies. And they also, take part in other curricular activities, which we call the clusters, like phys ed and dance. But I think a key component of this is SEL. And SEL is based upon 5 key components: self-awareness, recognizing emotions and how they impact behavior and acknowledge strengths and weaknesses; self-management, being taking control of your thoughts and emotions and actions and setting the working towards goals; social emotional awareness, putting oneself in the shoes of others and acting with empathy; and ethics, relationship skills, building and maintaining healthy relationships, listening to others, and resolving conflict. Finally, the responsible decision making, choosing how to act or respond based on ethics, safety, and the well-being of others. SEL can definitely help students improve academic performance, decrease problematic behaviors, and reduce emotional distress. It can also help students succeed in higher levels of education and in the workplace. Next slide. So there you have it, the 4 benefits of social emotional learning, which is, to improve academic achievement, health, well-being, and safe schools, promote future readiness, and positive impact for educators. So we are very big in social emotional learning. And I think I want to talk about this here as who we have supporting the social emotional piece in our school is spearheaded by Ms. J.K. Woods. I'm not sure if she's on the call right now.
Mr. Darby, we're just welcoming Ms. Hilton into our conversation. Welcome, Ms. Hilton. Thank you.
Thank you. We also give a monthly assembly run by our guidance counselors. So each month we have a social emotional component within that. We definitely see the need for clubs. So therefore we have a dance club, we have a sustainability club. We can actually call it a music club, although they're getting free music lessons. Did I say free? We also have things that help students in restorative practice. So if a student did something that was an issue and they have to receive a consequence, they can, one of the consequences is the save room. Each class, every student has a social emotional class supported by a teacher and Ms. Turner. Ms. Turner is in the room supporting the students as well. We also have things like for a consequence or a reflective practice called settling stations. That's where the students will go if they had a situation and they need some time to reflect. Every room has an area where the students can sit down and gather their thoughts. So that's the settling station there. I did mention Ms. Turner. She's our SAPIS worker. She's this year she's full-time. She's here 5 days a week, and she's eager and willing and able to visit each and every classroom to supply the necessary supports for their social emotional needs. Next slide.
Is Ms. Turner in the room tonight?
I don't think she's here.
Okay, so
J.K. Woods, I'm here and I have been here. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to speak on one other additional thing that we're working on at the school. And this is an idea that has kind of evolved out of a lot of different things and a lot of data that we collect within the school about the school and the students so that we can fix things. We've noticed that students are making really bad decisions and smoking marijuana in our bathrooms, which is a serious problem. So the steps that we've taken so far is to have conversations with students throughout the student body and just to kind of get an understanding of what's happening within the school and within the student body, where students would make these type of decisions to take part in this in the bathrooms. The other thing that we're looking to do is to install what are called vape detectors. And these vape detectors will send a notice via email internally to our administrative cabinet. And including our SAPIS worker, Ms. Turner, will get this notification and we will respond. And it's not a punitive action. It will never be a punitive action. We will never suspend. The only thing we're going to do is just have a conversation with you as parents and let you know what happened so that you're aware of this. And then our SAPIS worker, who also has a CASAC certification in substance abuse, is going to have conversations with your children so that we can try to correct this. Because there's no way that all these teachers who showed up here faithfully tonight can teach your children if by second period they're taking puffs from a vape. There's no way for us to do it. So we're going to need your support on this also. It will never be punitive. I will never make one suspension for marijuana in the school. What we will do is we will call you immediately. We will let you know what happened so that you're aware of it. And what you do with it is on you. And what we'll do with it at the school is we will provide counseling by our SAPIS worker. So we're in the process of working with Dr. Natasha Williams, who's been fabulous with us. And I have to just give her a hat tip. I have her cell phone number. We've talked in the evenings, and she's trying to provide funds for us to purchase these items from the manufacturer to install in the bathrooms so that when this occurs, we can provide support for these students. So I don't want to take up any more time about that. There'll be more meetings. Ms. Leverett has all the details about it, so you can reach out to her at any time, give her a phone call. She can run down everything to you that we have in our plan for this. So I'm not going to take up any more time, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. We are at the point where we're discussing things in the environment that we have expectation for. And I would like to review the cell phone policy. Periods 1 through 8, we have a ban on cell phones. We provide a bin for the students. Each day it's collected for students who turn in their cell phones. The bin is properly housed and safe in the assistant principal's office. And that is done during period 1 with the support of our school aides. During period 8, the cell phones are are given back to the students. If your child needs to contact you, they can contact you from the main office or any of the assistant principal's offices or the guidance counselor's office to have that conversation with you. The reason why we've done that is the students have in the past shown that they accelerate and do better. They do better when the cell phone is not a ruling part of your life. The students can stay focused on what they need to do in class. We have a lot less incidents of students, wanting to contact other students to engage in negative activities. So we think it's a win-win for our environment, and we would need your support in keeping the cell phone usage out of the hands of kids during school time. The uniform policy, we have our uniforms and they have been provided to all parents. You can purchase them through cookies. But we're also going to switch over to a uniform policy that involves swag. If you haven't heard already, swag is a student-created logo design that they could wear all day instead of the uniform. This came out of the need and desire from the students and staff to have something a little more personalized than our normal uniform. Stay tuned and you will receive information on when we'll have our next drop, which is our preliminary introduction to school swag. Next slide. The curriculum overview and key subjects and topics of area of focus will be done by our teachers. Each department, you will meet the teachers and they will talk about their subjects and the topics that they're going to discuss during the year, the overview of projects and assessments, and also emphasize on social emotional learning. Next.
Thank you, AP Darby, for that information. I'm really excited, especially about the school swag part. We have a team of educators working hard, and they're going to collaborate with students to make sure that you get the most up-to-date school swag possible. So look out for more information as flyers will be coming home shortly. Now, I just want to go over the next two slides. The slide in the next one talks about some key dates and things that you should expect this year. Just want you to be clear on the marking period dates, start and end, some progress reporting, and when you can check NICSA accounts for student grades to be published for report cards. In addition, we wanted to make sure you know parent-teacher conferences. So this is going to be in the slide deck for your review, and you can hang it on your refrigerators for your memory. Next slide. The grading policy. So all our grading policy is in alignment with the New York City Department of Education. Currently, District 29 is working on a systematic grading policy across the district. So as soon as we get more information, we will share that with you. But for now, our grading policy is as follows, and it will be reflected in Google Classroom and in addition to into DOE grades. And you will see some grading policies coming forth with some of the teachers in the upcoming slides. So we're looking primarily at classwork, projects, quizzes and exams, and homework. Next slide.
Okay, so back to parent engagement. First of all, I would like to thank all of the parents who came out both on Saturday for the District 29 homecoming back to school, which was phenomenal, and then our dads, but I'll get to the dads in just a minute. So please schedule time to meet with your child's teacher one-on-one whenever you need to do so. Class Dojo is for class updates. Google Classroom is for assignments. So if you need to get on to either Class Dojo or Google Classroom, please contact your child's teacher. And again, we can never say it enough. The NYC DOE grades, or New York City Public Schools now, is important, but the NYCSA, the NYSCA account, is the most important account that a parent can have. So please, 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 if you haven't already registered for that, please contact me by email. That's the best way so that I can get your email address, which is what I will need to set it up, and your child's name and your name. On attendance. Attendance is phenomenally important. Good attendance, you miss 9 days or less, although we don't want them to miss any, then you're ready for success. Warning sign is 10 to 19 absences. And then chronic absence is 20 days or more. But when you realize that if your child is absent once or even twice a month, they're missing that first period. That first period is a very important class. It's probably ELA or math or science. You miss that, you're missing out on what that lesson, the foundation of that lesson is. So please make sure that your child is in school every day, barring any emergencies or illness, on time. Our goal is to have 100% attendance because the absences indeed impact student academic standing. If a student is absent, please send a doctor's note. Home surveys were sent out. Please fill it out and return it to school. And then there are many incentives now that we're coming up with to make sure that students feel appreciated when they are attending every day and attending class on time every day. So you can see there is a video on our website. If you have a chance now, you can take a picture of that QR code and you can watch because our students actually made that video. But if you can't get the QR code now, check out our website. We also have every other month, we'll put up, or I will put up, a parent guardian survey just to see what you feel we can do better, things that we can do better for you and your children. So right now you can take a picture of that QR code, or you can go and you will find it on the school's website as well. Thank you. And here we are, the Dads Take Your Child to School Day celebration. It was wonderful. It was a great event of dads coming out and just clapping and cheering on the scholars. And so I want to say thank you, dads. And we had a couple of moms too, as you see in the picture. So that was just every year, it's a great way to start off the year. Moms, we're going to have a Moms Bring Your Child to School Day in October. So keep an ear out. I'll be sending you that information. And last but not least, please be reminded to send the following forms with your scholar. The blue cards, if you haven't done it, both of them too, the home surveys, and the technology student device form, and the media release form, because you see, we're doing wonderful things and we want to highlight it on Instagram and Facebook, and we need those media release forms in. And now for ELA.
Good evening, all. I'm Miss Edwards, one of the ELA teachers, and I will just be introducing the ELA teachers, and then Miss E. Sanderson will speak about the 6th grade outcomes for the year. Miss Blake will speak about the 7th grade outcomes for the year. Mrs. Hawkins will speak about the 8th grade outcomes, and then Mr. Pepper will close out ELA. Next slide, please. So our 6th grade ELA teachers are Missy Sanderson. She teaches 601, 631, and 632. Mr. Pepper teaches 651, which is our Rising Star class. Miss Edwards, I teach 691, and Miss Franklin teaches 631 and 632 alongside Missy Sanderson. Next slide. Our 7th grade teachers are Mr. Pepper. He teaches 702. Miss Blake, she teaches 701, 731, and 732 alongside Miss Clements. Mrs. Abbott, who is known now as Mrs. Hawkins, she teaches 751, which is the Rising Star class for 7th grade, and I teach 791. Next slide, please. Our 8th grade teachers are Mr. Phillips. He teaches 831 and 832, as well as 851, which is the Rising Star class. Miss Hawkins, she teaches 801 and 802. Mrs. Glean teaches alongside Mr. Phillips with 831 and 832. And Mrs. McDougan, she teaches 891. Next slide, please. So our special education teachers, they are focusing on this year's scaffolding instruction for the students. They are doing intentional student grouping. They will be using a plethora of graphic organizers to help the children make strides in their reading this year. They will also be making sure that students are learning new vocabulary. I say if a child learns one new vocabulary word a week, they are going to have 52 new words in their bank to use when they have discussions with others. They also use sentence starters to help the children with their thinking when they're writing. And they do on-task focusing prompts for children who struggle sometimes to remain focused. Next slide, please. Our ENL teacher, Miss Ramito, she's wonderful. And she does a plethora of things with the students. If you haven't yet reached out to her, if you have a child that is in ENL, her email address is there, and I'm sure she already sent out a letter home for you to speak with her about the goals that you have for your children in this academic year. Next slide. So we are trying to emphasize on these three main components for ELA this year: the pillars of reading, the components of literacy, and word work. The pillars of reading is quite important. This is how your child learns how to read. Phonics is important for children to know how to read. It will help with their fluency. It would help with how they understand vocabulary and ultimately how they understand reading in general. Comprehension is so important when children read. That leads us into the components of literacy, where reading and writing, they go hand in hand. Children should be reading and writing daily. They might not be listening to reading every day, but they should be speaking about it. They should be reading every day, and they should be writing about it. Word work plays a major role in this as well. They need to understand new vocabulary. They need to work on their grammar. They need to work on their punctuation, because those things are important to leveling them up in their work. We want to deepen the work in reading this year. Next slide, please. So some of our expectations for ELA is that children need to come to school prepared. I know that we are just starting out the school year, but some children have come without notebooks and pencils, and that's essential for them to write down the important things that teachers are teaching them already. Strategies that they might need to help them when they're doing their homework at home need to be put in a notebook. Children should not have loose papers, because when it's time for them to study, they won't be able to find them. So if you're having some trouble with that, please reach out to your child's teacher so that they may be able to help you. They need to also be very respectful. If they have an issue and they need to speak to someone, they can always tell their teacher, may I talk to you privately for a few moments? And teachers will definitely do that with them. They need to do all of their work, their classwork and homework. I know sometimes they don't like to do homework, but it's essential into their growth as readers. Independent practice is important. Please, please, please have your children read at home. They don't have to sit and read for 2 and 3 hours. A half an hour is enough to build skills. Let them choose a book that they're interested in, and that will always help develop their reading skills. And of course, class participation is important. I always tell children, think about something that you found interesting in class. Raise your hand to talk about it when we're discussing. Even raise your hand if you have a question. That is all included in class participation. Next slide, please. So our grading policy is the 35% for exams and quizzes, 30% for projects and their performance tasks. Children will be completing a portfolio in school. We will be looking at the portfolio 4 times. So that's once per marking period. And this is when teachers and children are allowed to go through all the work that they've done for the marking period, and children get to pick out their best work that they want to put in there to represent things that they have done. 25% is classwork. So that's a combination of the participation, that's a combination of the notes that they take in their notebook, and a combination of the tasks that they complete daily in class. And of course, like I said, homework is very important, and that's 10% of their grade. Next slide, please. Missy Sanderson, she will now speak about the 6th grade unit outcomes. Thank you, Missy Sanderson.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So the 6th grade, the reading series that is used at IS 59 is the Houghton Mifflin. We shorten it by calling it HMH. So we will, on the 6th grade level, we will implement 4 units. The first unit is, I love that particular unit for the theme. The theme is discovering one's voice. However, by the end of this unit, students will have analyzed several narrative texts written by different authors, which will prepare them to create and develop their own short story. And that's somewhat fun for sixth graders and budding writers to be able to create their own short stories. By creating their own stories, of course, the young people will be exposed to different authors and looking at those authors and their styles and how they present their narratives. Unit 2, by the end of Unit 2, students will use examples from multiple texts, different texts, to write an informative essay. An informative essay is generally based upon facts, rooted in facts. And such writing will include how people have found courage in the face of their fears. That's also a really fun unit and just interesting for the sixth graders to dive into. By the end of the third unit, the students will come away with an understanding of how authors use their craft meaning in their wording, the tone, how authors present their materials. And then students will, of course, craft their own argumentative writing piece on a particular topic that perhaps is most interesting to them. And of course, by the end of the fourth unit, students will use, again, multiple texts, being that we will have read various texts. Students will use those texts to write their own explanatory or informative essay in which they identify the qualities and characteristics of survivors. That's also a great theme, learning to survive, looking at people's approaches and how, the human spirit really comes through when one is faced with survival. So those are our 4 units that the sixth graders will dive into. Next slide, please.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Blake will now read about the 7th grade unit outcomes.
Yes. Good night, everybody. In the 7th grade unit, in the first unit, the students will have analyzed several narrative texts. So they're going to be reading a lot of stories, which will prepare them to create and develop their own short stories and also an informational text, an informational essay, informative essay about being able to perceive what is true from what is untrue in social media. The next unit the students will come away with understanding that authors use various craft within their writing to write a sound and sufficient argument. So they will be writing an argumentative essay, and they will craft their own essays on a piece about space exploration. In the next unit, the students will have analyzed several narrative texts, which will prepare them to develop another short story mirroring the skills and techniques used by the authors to develop their own. And in the last unit, they will complete a accumulating research report in which they will choose the change agent they admire most and write about the challenges that person faced and the accomplishments he or she ultimately achieved. So they'll be doing research on people who have promoted change in our society, past and or present, and they can write about that person and the changes and the challenges that they faced and the changes they made. Next slide.
Now Ms. Hawkins will speak about the 8th grade unit outcomes.
Hi, my name is Ms. Hawkins. So for our first unit, we're going to be looking into the use of technology and how do we feel like technology is controlling our lives. We love this unit because, it is relevant to the kids. And so by the end of this unit, we're going to prepare them to create their own kind of short story that kind of mimic the techniques of narrative writers, authors, sorry, and writing and creating short stories like authors. In the second unit, we're going to delve into into a scary stories, a thriller of horror, and we're going to be looking at different stories that with horror aspects. And we're going to be looking into psychology of a person, into elements of horror, and debate whether horror stories are, in fact, traditional or non-traditional horror stories and how they play a role in our everyday storytelling. And by the end of that unit, kids are going to write an informative essay kind of critiquing the horror stories that we've read and the elements of horror. And the third unit, we have places we call home, where we look in the idea of what we call home, and we look at the idea of immigration and migration and different people and what they consider home and where home really is. And with that one, they're going to create like an argument writing piece on the topic. And then the fourth one, we're going to read about the unit of Fight for Freedom. In this unit, we're going to explore the ideas of what is freedom and what kind of sacrifices people will make to become free, either through fighting oppression. And they're going to do like a kind of research project, look into the idea of Anne Frank. We're going to research the Holocaust and society, and we're going to do a research project on that. Next slide.
Thank you. Mr. Pepper will now read about the routines.
Good evening, IS 59 family members. So I'm going to be reviewing school routines. Our arrival time is at 8:10 a.m. and the students line up in the schoolyard. They will line up inside during inclement weather. Only blue or black hoodies are allowed in the building. They must have a zipper and be open so the uniform shirt shows through. No cell phones are used in the building whatsoever. Students must turn in their cell phones during the first period during collection times. No eating or chewing gum is allowed in class, and you must arrive to class on time. No hallway loitering. Too tardies to class, and the students will receive a phone call home to their parents or guardians. Next slide, please. The primary curriculum resources that we're utilizing at IS 59, as stated before, is HMH, the Houghton Mifflin Harcourt digital platform. You can access that through TeachHub. The iReady digital platform, that accesses also through TeachHub, and we also use that for assessing your scholar. We do use various supplemental resources within the building. One of them is Worldly Wise, and that is for vocabulary building with the scholars. Next slide, please. Portfolio expectation. So within the portfolio expectation for your child, organization skills, we reflect, socialize, create an archive, we publish. Feedback is always given to your scholar, as well as we edit. So when we're doing these things all with your child, that's all encompassing in conferencing. So we will sit down and have conversations with your scholar, talk to them, see what they're thinking. Maybe what they were thinking didn't exactly go down onto their writing piece, and we show them ways in which they can become better writers. So portfolios are required for graduation, and our portfolios will be the same format from the last school year. Next slide, please. The New York State English Language Arts state exam. So that will be on Tuesday, April 29th through Thursday, May 1st, 2025. The New York State Language Arts examination is in two parts. There is a multiple choice section and a written section. The multiple choice section tests comprehension and students' ability to analyze and interpret the meaning of passages. The written section allows scholars to responses to open-ended questions based on stories, articles, or poems. Just to keep in mind that the dates are tentative and they are subject to be changed. Next slide, please. Homeschool connection. Please make sure to fill out and return the blue emergency contact card. Please fill out the Department of Education permission to photograph or video release form for your scholars. We would like to acknowledge classes that are doing extraordinary work where scholars are working collaboratively together, as well as performances, so we can show to you on possibly social media sites or in newsletters as to what your scholar is doing in school. Next slide, please. Calling all writers. So we are going to have social media broadcasts, news. We're looking for illustrators, graphic artists, photographers, writers, researchers, business managers, and even interviewers. So we're looking for the scholars to have their own programs where they can actually talk about what's been going on in the school, things that are important to the student body, and as well as interviews with teachers as well as administrators. So please get your scholars ready to have a conversation with them about joining the I-59 Times.
Hello, my name is Al Epperson from the channel I-59 News Hub, and now this is our first ever episode. The question y'all all might be asking is, what is I-59 News Club? Let me explain a little bit to you. I-59 News Hub is a little channel that we have so y'all and we can understand the news that goes around our school. In today's news, we interview Principal Cook that my good friend Brianna Foster did. Now let's go to Brianna and see what the principal was talking about. Brianna.
Hi, my name is Brianna. This is IS59 News Hub, and today we're interviewing Mr. Cook. Hi, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
We're very tired.
Okay.
So, why did you decide to take this position in the middle of the school year?
Well, that's a very interesting question. The main reason why I took this position in the middle of the school year is because my love for education, and as I walked through this school before taking this position, I saw the students and they brought positivity to my heart. I have a deep commitment for fostering a positive learning environment and shaping the young minds that we have here at IS59.
So, what new programs are you trying to implement in this school year?
So for this school year, we implemented an orchestral program on the weekends. We implemented a marine biology program as well. And for the next school year, we have a plan to implement boys and girls basketball teams, track and field, a school-wide fishing trip, which is actually happening a few days from now, which we're very excited about, a film and philosophy class for students, as well as enriching the impactful impact of the Rising Stars Academy.
Very interesting and very well needed programs that we need in this school. So, do you have a doctorate?
I actually do have a doctorate. My doctorate is a doctorate of divinity, which is for religious purposes. And that's why students and teachers don't refer to me as a doctorate here in the school. A doctor of education, which would be a degree for this particular school, I'm actually about 30 credits away from and very excited about finishing.
Oh, I hope you finish and do a very good job. So, Mr. Cook, why are you so interested in doing this news hub?
I'm interested in doing this news hub because it has numerous advantages for the students in the school, the teachers in the school, and the community that we are in here today. I also believe that it's going to provide teamwork and collaboration skills for the students that are part of the news hub. With regard to the community, it will allow us to show this community in Springfield Gardens all the wonderful and exciting things that we have taking place in IS59.
Those are very interesting answers, and I definitely agree. It makes a lot of sense. So, for our last question of today, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do in your free time?
Sure, I love to do a lot of different things. Number one, reading and writing. I enjoy spending time in the outdoors, specifically in Massachusetts and the Berkshires on the lake. I enjoy fishing, boating, teaching people how to boat, as well as good movies.
Movies are very interesting, and so is the outdoors. I definitely agree with those. My name is Brianna. This is the IS59 News Hub, and back to you.
Now on to sports. Did you know that IS59 had a new boys basketball team? We did a little interview before, but this is the big interview now. So let's go to Al Epperson and myself to see what the players were doing and what they were talking about. Hi, I'm Alexa for the channel I-59 News Hub. Now you're probably wondering why we're here. And we're here with the I-59 new basketball team. How does it feel to get picked for the new I-59 basketball team?
It feels great. More opportunities are gonna come from this interview and like being on the team.
So what is it like playing with these fellas? Or what are some things that you can work on?
It's pretty fun playing with my friends, and some things we could work on as a team is communicating more so we could get better.
Now y'all didn't play your first game yet, right? Oh, y'all did. Okay, so y'all played your first game. How did that go? And what do you think that you did good at?
We won. We did really good in passing the ball and getting to the bucket.
So, y'all got new uniforms. How did you feel about that when you got your uniforms?
These uniforms are classics. Lincoln Park is a very famous park that a lot of basketball players, NBA players go to. So these jerseys are from that tournament.
What is the position that y'all play?
I play shooting guard.
I play power forward. I play small forward.
What are some basketball players in the NBA or out of the NBA that inspires y'all to play basketball?
Kyrie Irving. Because like he's just the most skilled basketball player to ever touch a basketball, and we're kind of related. Like he's my second uncle, so.
An NBA player that inspires me. He's retired. His name is Allen Iverson. I've been always watching Allen Iverson clips, like when I was playing basketball, trying to recreate stuff he does. So he's really like my inspiration when it comes to basketball.
I would say Paul George, because like I feel like my game reflects his game in many different ways, and I really like study him a lot to get better.
Good evening, I'm Brianna Foster, and this is Channel 59 News Hub. Did you know that IS-59 scholars soar in science? 2 of our scholars were winners in the District 29 Science Fair. Check out our interview with Mohammed, who placed 2nd place in the district-wide fair.
Hi, I'm Leonico Valencia, here with Channel 59. Today I'm interviewing Aisha Mohammed. How are you doing today, Aisha?
My day is good so far, and you?
I'm good too. I heard recently that you won 2nd place in the District 29 Science Fair. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
What was your project on?
My project was on if the amount of acidic acid in vinegar affects the level of sourness it has.
That sounds very interesting. Did you have any problems with your project?
Not really. The only problem I had was like rushing to the store to get the materials to get it, since I had to get a pH tester. I had to get 3 different vinegars. I had to get cups to place the vinegar in, and like all that. And then like since I did it, like I did different trials, so to make sure that my my conclusion was accurate.
Did you have any celebrations after you won 2nd place?
Not really. We went home, but like I did get a lot of congratulations and stuff. I got obviously the certificate, and my teacher put it in a frame.
How did you feel presenting to the school versus presenting to the district?
That's a difficult question, because I did it with my class first, and with my class I had thought that I was gonna mess up anyways, but my friend Rajan, he was like, "You're gonna do fine, you know, it's a different thing when you're presenting to your family than to your friends and stuff." And when he gave me the confidence to like build up the confidence to present to the class, and then as it was chosen to go to the science fair and to the school, I was nervous, because like you had to talk to people and tell them what your project was about, and I'm like, there's so many people that I don't know. So and then presenting to the district, it was pretty calm, because it was like you could see the projects and you didn't really have to explain it, but like there was a few people who would come here and ask you what the project was about. So it was like nerve-wracking, but then it was calm at the same time.
Well, this was Leonico Valencia with Channel 59 News. Back to you.
Let's catch to one of my favorite teachers, Miss Sheffield. Miss Sheffield is new co-teacher here for ELA class. Now let's go to Brianna, because she had a chance to sit down with Miss Sheffield so she explained.
My name is Brianna. This is IS-59 News Hub, and today I'm here with Miss Sheffield. Hi, Miss Sheffield. How are you today?
All right. Thank you for asking.
So, Miss Sheffield, what do you do at this school?
Okay, well, teachers wear many hats, but I'm a teacher. I'm a co-teacher in the humanities department, and I teach in ELA and social studies with the 6th grade, the awesome 6th grade.
Yes. So, how long have you been teaching here?
I've been teaching here at IS-59 Queens Middle School for about 1 year. This is going to be my very first year here. I used to teach high school for many years.
Hi, thank you. We just wanted to show you some of the great things that we're doing at IS 59. The children really enjoyed making these videos and being part of the news team. Some of the children already signed up to meet up with Mrs. Clements, who manages the newspaper with them in the news team. So if your child did not do that, I'm sure Miss Clements wouldn't mind if they want to sign up to join when they come back to school. And thank you so much. Now the math team will present.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Miss Sally, and I am the temporary coach for the math department this year. Welcome to the math department's Meet the Teacher Night. Next slide, please. We're going to skip this, but if you want to take a screenshot of this, you can. So this year, just like last year, we're going to be doing a competition called Game 24. Your children probably talked to about it last year if they were in our school, and if they were in District 29, they definitely talked about it in elementary school. So basically, it's a competition where the students have to make these 4 numbers, make 24 by either adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So I'll leave it up for like 30 seconds. If you know how to make 24 with those 4 numbers, just type it in the chat. And then math teachers, if you can look at the chat just to see if anyone got it. And then if you feel comfortable, unmute yourself and share to us how you got your 24. So you can add, subtract, multiply, divide. You have to use all 4 numbers and they have to get to 24. So about a minute. Parents, I see some of the teachers got it already. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. I see you. Ms. Hilton, thank you. I see you. Parents. I think there's something blocking the screen, so I know I can't see all the digits still. Okay, so I'll shout out one of the ones that came up that I saw. So Miss Robinson, she said 5 times 4, and that's 20, then plus 3, that would be 23, and then plus 5, that would be 28, but that doesn't make 24, so it has to make 24. Ms. Hilton has 4 times 3, that equals 12, and then plus 5, that equals 17, and then plus 5 equals, okay, I see more people putting in. Yes, thank you. 5 times 5 plus 3 minus 4. Awesome. Remember, it has to add up to 24. Now, the challenge for our students is that they get no pen or paper. They have to state the last thing they did before they got 24, and then they have to go back to the beginning and say, this is how I got 24. And fun fact, for middle school kids, we get to get fractions and decimals. Yay! So if you find this challenge with whole numbers, imagine what it's like with fractions and decimals. So this is something that we use to help build our students' fluency. So parents, you can also go online and just, if you go to coolmathplayground.com, you'll see a bunch of Game 24. You can play for free. It's called the Numbers Game. You can play it for free. And then you can have your child practice at home how to make 24. Start with whole numbers, and then as they get good, then you can start introducing decimals and fractions. So then we just wanted to throw that at you just to see part of our fluency for math. Next slide, please. Thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you. I see your answers. Thank you. We skipped a couple of things. Is it? Oh, you know what? I redid it. Never mind. Okay, so 6th grade math teachers are Ms. Bevilacqua, Ms. John, Ms. Mateo, and Ms. Williams. Next slide. Our 7th grade teachers are Ms. Harrison, Ms. John, Ms. Fasano, Ms. Williams. Next slide. Our 8th grade teachers are Ms. Harden Butts, Ms. McDougan, Ms. Sawi, that's me, and Ms. Woods. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are our math expectations for the year. Similar to ELA, we expect all of our students to come to school prepared with a notebook, pencils and other supplies. In math class, we use calculators for 7th and 8th grade, primarily 6th grade. They use the calculators only on the second day of their state test. So we like to have them actually know their fluency well for 6th grade. We also expect that all of our students are respectful towards the classroom, the devices, the materials that they receive, the teachers, the other students in the room. We also want all of our scholars to do their work. That's their classwork, their homework, any task. If you do those three things well, your child will always be successful in math class. If they're doing their classwork every single day, if they do whatever homework's given to them that day, if they do whatever tasks are given to them that day, they will be successful. Independent practice in class, in school, but also at home. We just finished doing the iReady diagnostic. And so one of the recommendations is that your child now knows where they are mathematically in terms of their grade level. The teachers will be talking to them about that if they don't know specifically. But if they go into iReady, they're going to have a MyPath that iReady has already assigned to them based on how they did on a diagnostic that we did this week. So when they go into the MyPath, they're going to start, iReady is going to give them the stuff that they're the weakest in, the things that they didn't do well on in that diagnostic. And if your child does one of those every day, it's about 20 minutes, they will get stronger in that weakness and that deficiency. And by time, they will be stronger in general. So we just recommend that they do additional practice at home, doing iReady, the MyPath every day. And in fluency practice, again, we'll be doing in class, but also the Game 24. If you want to do times table drills with them, those basic skills, parents, I know your children are in middle school, but those basic skills are foundational to the work that we do in math. So if you can please, please, please do games with them at home that practice numeracy. If you go shopping you take them with you to the supermarket or to the mall, when there's a sale, practice how to do discounts, how to do sales real quickly, how to do percent. When it's April and you're doing your taxes, sit your child down with you and tell them about how to do taxes. Really try to incorporate numbers as much as possible when you're at home with your child. Next slide, please. So emphasis on math this year. This is one of our problem-solving practice standards. It's making sense of problems and persevering in solving them. This is like the foundation for everything that we do in math class, especially when we get word problems and word problems. So making sense, what do I remember about this topic? How does this connect to something I've done before? What do I already know that I can use to help me solve the problem? And persevere is like sticking with it, like trying something out. If it doesn't work, try something else. Don't get frustrated, don't give up, but just keep trying. So that's one of the things that we emphasize a lot in our math classes, is to make sense of problems and to persevere through solving them. Next slide, please. I see the question. I'll get to that question in 1 second. Someone just posted a question. I'll get to that in 1 second. This is our grading policy. Again, it's the same grading policy throughout the school. So 35% of the grades in your child's math class will come from exams and quizzes. 30% will come from projects, performance tasks. That's part of the portfolio. 25% will come from classwork, and we count classwork as participation, notebook, and task completion. And then 10% comes from homework. So I'll address homework here. So homework is dependent on each teacher. So for me personally, I teach 8th grade, a few 8th grade classes. I give homework not every day, but about 3 times a week, they'll get homework. But again, if your child comes home and they say they didn't have any math homework, just ask them to open up their notebook and just talk to you about what they did in class that day. They're definitely doing work every single day. So my mother is an old school mother. And when we would come home and say we didn't have homework, she would say, oh, let me give you something to do. So I learned how to make up homework because I didn't want to do my mother's homework. So I would just say, ask your child, open up your notebook. Let me see what you did in class today. And then after they do that, go on to iReady. We'll do iReady. If you don't have homework, do iReady. Have them do something every single day. Or, oh, you don't have homework? Let's do some fluency drills. There's a times table thing, fill this out. Give them something to do, okay? Even if they say don't have homework, give them something to do. They have homework, okay? Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the primary, I hope that addressed that question about homework. So again, it depends on the topic that we're in. So it might be about 2 to 3, 4 times a week. Some teachers give homework every day. Some teachers a little bit more sparingly. So you have to just reach out to your child's teacher and talk to them about the homework, okay? And then these are the platforms that we're using. So our platforms are digital this year. We have Envision, which is digital. All the students at this point, they received devices this week, so they should know how to get into Teach Hub And Teach Hub is where they're going to go access everything. So they access their Google Classroom, their gradebook, all their digital platforms. So for us, for math, Envision is our digital platform, access through Teach Hub. And these are the 3 grades, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. If your child is in Rising Stars for 851, they're going to have 2 books on their Envision platform. They're going to have grade 8, and they're also going to have Algebra 1. Right now, our focus is on grade 8. The other platform that they have access to for math is iReady Digital. So again, that's where they would go to do the math path. And sometimes teachers will also assign them specific work to do. That'll be under the teacher path. So there's my path that iReady says you need to work on because you're struggling. And then there's teacher path. We're doing this right now. I want you to work on this. Okay, thank you. Next slide. These are the necessary math supplies for class. Scientific calculator. We are having our exams online this year across the entire building. So the program that the state used last year, if they're using that same program, the calculator is built in to the, onto the student's device. But I know some students are a little bit more tactile and they need to have that physical thing in front of them. So if you would love to have your child have their own, so when they're at home and they're practicing, scientific calculator, again, more for 7th and 8th grade. 6th grade, they don't use the calculator until the 2nd day of their state test. So they really have to know those foundational skills. Pencils and pens, a pencil sharpener. Preferably your child has their pencils and stuff already sharpened before they come to school. So they're not sitting there sharpening their pencil or begging someone for something to write with. So just make sure they're coming to school with those supplies. For us, a composition notebook or a spiral notebook, graph paper when we do graphing topics, and a ruler, a small ruler. You don't have to have something big, just a small 6-inch ruler is sufficient. Next slide, please. Okay, so there was a question about Google Classroom. I think one of the admins can answer that question for you. Okay,
Miss
so
Sorry, we're moderating the chat, so you don't have
Okay.
to worry. You can just
gotcha.
keep
It just keeps popping up in my view, so I'm just
Yeah.
reading it as if you can't tell, I'm a little, so.
No worries, we have it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So 6th grade, if Ms. Mateo, if you're on the line, if you don't mind just giving an overview of what 6th grade students will expect to learn this year in math.
Good evening, parents. This is a view of the curriculum. We have about 4 major units, and another unit that we are going to touch bases on. The first unit that we are doing is number sense. We are expecting all the students to be making computation fluently. They know by heart their times tables. And they use common sense when they are solving problems. The second unit that the 6th graders are going to do is going to be equation and expressions. Again, number sense is very important for them to be successful in this unit. Our third unit is going to be ratios, proportion, find geometry, and also we are going to do a little bit of statistics, but just touching basing on statistics.
Next slide, please. So this is just the overview of the 6th grade math test. It does say 2024 because they haven't released the 2025 test design. So we're assuming it's going to be very close and similar. Remember, it's also going to be online this year. So in general, they're going to have session 1, which is day 1. They're going to have 30 multiple choice questions. And then that's it. So day 1 is all multiple choice. For 6th graders, they will not have the use of a calculator on day 1. So all of the things that they do, again, they have to have strong computational skills. Day 2, session 2 is happening on day 2. They're going to have 6 multiple choice questions, 3 1-point questions. So they either have the right answer or they don't. And then 6 2-point questions and 1 3-point question. The 3-point question usually involves multiple parts and it has them show work and explain. The 2-point questions have them either show work or explain. And the 3-point question has them kind of do both. So that's the format of, well, last year's test design. It's probably going to be something similar once they put that out for this year. And day 2, the 6th graders do get to use a calculator on day 2. But day 1, there is no calculator. So again, parents, if you can practice fluency skills with your child at home, multiplication tables, just knowing those facts inside and out, that would definitely greatly help them for that day. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the 7th grade overview. If Ms. Pastano or Ms. Harrison would like to speak to what the students in 7th grade will be learning this.
Okay, President, good evening, everybody. I'm just going to go over the 7th grade curriculum. The standards that I'm going to share with you for each of the units. We are first looking at rational numbers and operations, and I just want you to know that even though I'm going to go through the focus, do know that all our focus and our standards and objectives are put in a fun and interactive way within our classroom to engage students. So there are different activities that are done both on a technology basis, hands-on. We're meeting all the various learning styles of our students to make sure that they understand the material. So for the topic of rational numbers and operations, the focus for that is to apply and extend previous understandings of operations with fractions. And within this particular strand, we are looking at the rational numbers, the fractions, the decimals, and we're looking at all the operations with that. So as Ms. Sari just shared with us, we want our students to be able to come into the grade with strong foundational skills and operational skills. The next topic that we're looking at is analyzing and using proportional relationships. And within that, we're using them to solve real world and mathematical problems. Hence why, once again, we want you to take them out shopping. And when you're weighing things in the scale in the supermarket, and when you're scaling up, if you have to buy a certain amount of oranges or apples for a large family versus a small amount, and how the price adjusts as you buy. So those are things that we want to look at even within that strand. Also, we're going to analyze and solve percent problems. We are looking at them just solving those real world problems. Again, we're talking about the discounts. We're talking about a percentage of something. If you eat pizza at home, what percentage of the pizza pie did the family just eat, right? So math is everywhere, and we want to make sure that we incorporate it and we identify it, as often as we can, so that when we do present these different topics to them, they have some prior knowledge to bring to the table and making the learning a lot easier for them. We then will be looking at generating equivalent expressions. And with that, we use the properties of operations to generate equivalent expressions. We're looking at real life and mathematical problems with numerical. I'm sorry, somebody's chat just popped up in my screen. So we're looking at, once again, real life scenarios where mathematical problems using numerical and algebraic expressions and equations. And a lot of times when people, students see letters, they're just like, where are letters coming from in math, right? But to be quite honest with you, they have been engaging in algebraic expressions since elementary school. It's just that it was with shapes, it was with a circle, it was with a heart, it was with a star, right? So once again, we just want to get them comfortable with the material in that aspect. We'll also be looking at statistics and probability, where we use random sampling to draw inferences. That's popping. Okay, using random solving to draw inferences about a population, and also making informal comparative inferences about two populations. We'll be doing some scale drawing problems, where they will be drawing geometric figures. They'll be computing actual lengths and areas, and that time we talk about blueprints, so on and so forth. If your child is engaged in building Legos, I know still I have a 15-year-old who likes to still create Legos, right, and build little cities. And we talk about just like making math applicable, right? Scaling up, what would that look like if I had a certain measurement, and scaling down. So just using different scales and answering real life problems. Also, there's a reteach, review, and the test preparation component. Now, we do have problems of the week where we used to assess students' understanding for the week. If we see that a child is having any type of difficulties with the material, we do have reteach copies, and we have once again, different activities, whether it be online or it's tactile, that they could use to help them better understand the concepts. And so we do have a time that we do reteach the students. And of course, we have the anchor charts that are also available to them. YouTube, I know kids are always on YouTube. It's a great resource to use to learn about things that they might not understand. So as we go through the different content and the different strands, we will be looking at the structure of the state test questions as we go through each of the strands and how it's structured, what we should look for. We also have one of our practices is which one doesn't belong. So different practices and strategies that we use within the classroom will allow kids to engage, think critically, be able to explain their answers, and be able to defend it, right? A lot of times kids just want to get straight to the answer, but for our math department, the question is, why is that? What is the process? Why is that happening? You know, and they should be able to defend their responses. And then we have our post-test standards that we will look at to prepare them for the 8th grade. So once again, just to kind of reiterate what Ms. Ari said, math is everywhere. And so let's just encourage our children to just look everywhere in math. Where do we see math? How is this happening? And let's have them have an explorative mind, always wanting to know, inquire, ask questions. Let's try to promote them. It is asking questions all the time, just to be able to explain a lot of their responses. So thank you very much. And that's it from the 7th grade.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harrison. Next slide. Thank you. So this is the format for the 7th and the 8th grade test. So again, this is based on the 2024 test that they just took last year. The test again is going to be online. So 7th and 8th grade students will be able to use their calculator for both days, session 1 and session 2. Again, the emphasis on day 1 is multiple choice, 32 questions. And then the emphasis on day 2 is a combination of multiple choice, 1 credit questions, which are either right or wrong, and then 2 credit questions where they have to either show work or explain, and a 3 credit question where it has multiple parts and they have to show and explain their work and answers. Next slide. This is the 8th grade, Ms. Hardin Butts. If you're able to come on, can you give an overview of the 8th grade math curriculum?
Sure, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ms. Hardin Butts, and I am one of the 8th grade math teachers. I just want to very briefly give you an overview of what we'll be doing this year. As you can see, this curriculum is large. It's actually 12 different units, much more than 6th and 7th grade. And what your child is going to find is that this math is a lot different than what they've been learning from K through 12. This is where some of your children might start to get a little uncomfortable because everything is seemingly brand new. Now, while yes, you do need the K through 7 skills to do this math, much of it is really brand new to them. We're going to be right now we're looking at not just rational numbers, but now we're looking at irrational numbers. And believe it or not, many of the students are getting it. So I'm very pleased with that. They're understanding the difference between what it means to be rational and versus irrational. We're also going to start looking at radicals and integer exponents. While they know what exponents are, they've never quite looked at it in the way that we're going to look at it. We're going to be applying the law of exponents, which is something that they never really seen. Following that, now this is going to be our biggest unit, dealing with linear functions. Functions, that's something that they've never dealt with before. We're going to be not only solving them, but we're going to be writing them, graphing them, analyzing them, And this is when it starts to get real. So look at those dates really carefully around October to about February. Your child is going to say they hate math, okay? Because it is tough work. I like to tell my students that this is the first year of the math that you're going to take for the rest of your life. Okay, the rest of your, academic career, because this is the first level, and that's why they feel uncomfortable, because they're just now being exposed to a lot of the algebraic concepts. And as Ms. Harrison said, the kids, they freak out when they see all of these letters in math. But we're trying to get them exposed, because where they're going next year, their heads are really going to be spinning. So I'm trying to prepare these students for next year, okay? Because this year they'll be fine, but next year when they have to start taking Regents exams, okay? So we're going to be looking at how to deal with linear functions, linear equations. We're going to be looking at functions, comparing them, graphing them, all of that, modeling them. So much of the curriculum will be algebra based. Then we're going to move into geometry. Now, while it is geometry, which is more visual, students prefer geometry, guess what? Algebra is even infused in that. So they have to still know the algebra. We're going to be looking at the Pythagorean theorem. Yeah, everyone's favorite thing, right? The Pythagorean theorem. We're going to be looking at how to find the volume. All of these things, applying these formulas, it's all algebra. You're solving for the unknown variable. We're also going to be looking at scatter plot graphs. Again, these things, these students have never seen before. So it's like they're being introduced to all of these concepts for the very first time. And all of that we have to have done before that state exam. We have and I'm telling you, it's a lot. So we're going to be moving. So we really cannot afford to waste time. So really, it's really imperative that your child comes to school daily, every day, on time, and prepared with the mindset to learn, because we don't have the luxury of time. We are, the time factor is an issue, and I want to be able to finish all of the concepts prior to the exam. We do have some concepts that we learn after the state exam: scientific notation, systems of equations. Again, all new concepts that they need for 9th grade. Now, this is also where the math gets complex for the parents. A lot of parents tell me, I don't understand this math. I have a child, he's in college, and he is in calculus right now. And he's like, "Mommy," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what to tell you." But what I did do, I Googled some videos on limits. I mean, I haven't done limits since I was in college. And so I Googled it. Google could be your child's best friend. Google these things. Send it to your child. Let them watch videos. Let them see it multiple ways, because they will be uncomfortable. I'm giving you that heads up. They will be uncomfortable. Even if your child was a strong math student last year, this year could still be challenging for them. Okay, so just be relax. If your child tries, they should just do just fine. Okay. If you have any questions for me, you could put it in the chat. Yes, homework and class participation is very important. They should be engaged in every lesson. They should be engaged, for sure.
Thank you, Ms. Harden. But so again, this is the same format as the 7th grade test. I won't repeat that, same thing. Next slide, please.
And engagement is absolutely at the heart of what we do here. So absolutely engaged. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes. So I teach 8th grade / Algebra 1. So this is for the parents who have students in 851. So your child is going to be learning 2 curriculums in 1 year. So the first half of our year is going to focus on the 8th grade curriculum. So from September to January, all of that Ms. Hardenbush just talked about, we're going to be covering in that 3-month period. And then in February through May is when we're going to jump into the heavy algebra stuff. The good thing about this is that a lot of the content in algebra, as Ms. Hardenbutt says, overlaps with 8th grade. So 8th grade is kind of like the foundation to Algebra 1. So while they are learning the 8th grade stuff, they're also, I'm going to incorporate the algebra as it occurs. But then when there are topics that are specifically algebra or specifically 8th grade, then it'll just be that. So this is an overview. I've already posted this in Google Classroom for 851. So if you can't see it, the screen's too tiny, it's already there. You can print it out. We'll also upload something similar for the other grades as well. Just give me like a week and we'll upload that to Google Classroom as well. So you have an idea. So if you want to get a tutor, you want to have an older sibling or someone help your child, they know where they're headed. They know like, oh, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing proportional relationships. Let me start getting on proportional relationships like now. I will say this, parents, that a lot of people that seem to do well in math, that seem to be naturally gifted in math, sometimes their parents send them to summer school to get ahead, not because they failed, but because they want them to be ahead. So when they come to school, they're like the smartest kid in the class, and it's only because they've seen it before. So this is designed that you can do the same thing. Your child will have all the information and they can come to school being the smartest kid in the class because they practiced it and rehearsed it already. Next slide, please. So this is the Regents exam. The other grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th, I just put May 2025 because it's a computer-based test, we have a larger window. So I didn't know exactly what dates we're going to select for that window, but it's going to be sometime in May. For the Regents exam, it's specifically on June 18th, 2025, or Wednesday. Just for the 851 parents, just so you know, the dates for the Regents exams are June 17th through June 23rd. So the 17th is ELA. The 18th is math. There's no school June 19th. On June 20th, they're doing US history. And then on June 23rd, they're doing the foreign language exam. So just to make sure that, you don't plan any trips or vacations, those days are going to be the Regents exam days. And unlike the state test, the Regents exam is 3 hours, hard stop. Our test is slated to start at 1:15, and at 4:15, we'll probably start more like 12 o'clock and end by 3. But no matter what time we start, they only have 3 hours to take the exam. They will not be given a second after 3 hours. So it's important if your child is in 851 to really, really, I know that we do a lot of untimed and you take the day and, but on the Regents exam, they get 3 hard hours and that's it. So your child needs to become comfortable with building speed and accuracy with their work. So I tell my students that they can't take more than 5 minutes to do any one problem. Like really, if you're taking 5 minutes, you don't know it, that's okay. Go home, study it, practice it, rehearse it, so you're better prepared the next day. So this is just an overview of what the Regents exam looks like. 24 questions, multiple choice. And everything is 1 day. Unlike the state exam, all this is happening on 1 day, not 3 hours. Part 2 is 6 questions worth 2 points each. Part 3 is 4 questions worth 4 points, and part 4 is 1 question worth 6 points. So again, the multiple choice questions, 24 questions. Part 2, 3, those are the questions where they have to show work and or explain how they did how they got the answer. Part 4 is 1 question and it's multiple parts to it and it's worth 6 points. So there's like 3 sections and each section builds on the section from before. So again, it's a lot of work, but they can do it if we just, we're going to practice time management throughout the year. Next slide, please. Oh, that's it. Okay, thank you so much for math department. And I just wanted to say this, parents, I want to bring back a family math night. I know that last year the district did it and I guess they're going to still do it too, but IS 59 inaugurated the family math night 2 years ago and we want to bring it back. just as good. So just look out for those dates. It'll probably be sometime in the spring, but we hope that you can come out, have fun, play games with math. We want you to love math the way we love math. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye.
Good evening, families. My name is Ms. Woods. I am part of the Math and Science Department in the IS-59 Science Department. 8th grade, we have Ms. Hilton and myself. 6th grade, we have Ms. Brown and Ms. Bebalacqua. And 7th grade, we have Mr. Masonette and Ms. Harrison. Next slide, please. Our academic expectations. First, let's go over our course overview. Science is an ongoing process. We often try to find an answer to a problem, a solution, or an answer to a question, and that is ongoing. All of our units reflect student-centered work. They use problem-solving skills that goes across different contents in the way that they approach science. We use the inquiry and process skills that will be an integral part of each unit that we study. And the application of all of these skills will allow students to investigate important issues in the world around them. So it's going to be able to build your child up and allow them to use what they're learning in science across all of their different contents. Our mission statement is we intend to inspire our students to be critical thinkers through experiencing the scientific practices. Our students will flourish academically, emotionally, and socially while embracing technology to become productive global citizens. Next slide, please. So here is our curriculum for the 8th grade. Unit 1, which we're gearing up and getting straight into. We have our energy, force, and motion. Unit 2, we have Earth's place and the universe. Unit 3, we have growth, development, and reproduction of organisms. Unit 4, we have evolution, natural selection, and adaptation. Unit 5, we will begin our New York science text prep, which only 8th grade will be taking this year. And Unit 6 will be our science fair projects. We implore all parents to go on to the New York City scope and sequence so you can see exactly what your child will be learning for the year. Next slide, please. So things to look out for 8th grade in science. Please join Class Dojo. All invitations were sent. If you did not receive an invitation, please reach out to me or Ms. Hilton for 8th grade. Reach out to Miss Brown and Miss Bebalacqua and Mr. Masonette and Miss Harrison so that you can get on to Class Dojo. These are one of the ways in which we communicate with parents in real time. I know for 8th grade, Miss Harrison and myself, we have it up throughout the lessons and we're giving points or sending messages to parents, and sometimes we're taking points away. It all depends. We have interactive science notebooks. So all students should have came to school with the marble composition notebook, no spiral notebooks because of the way it has to be set up. They should have glue sticks, color pencils, and stickers. Next slide, please. So our New York City science test and science fair 8th grade students will be tested. They only take the test 2 times in their from elementary school and middle school. They take it in 4th grade, and then they take it again in 8th grade. The test will cover 6th, 7th, and 8th grade content. The testing window, we do not have an exact date as of yet, but it will be between April 7th and May 16th. Last year, this is how we did our science fair. Our science fair is mandatory. So we have a school-wide based science fair where everyone in 6th, 7th, and 8th, they present their projects to their classes. The teachers and students vote on 3 from each class. Then it goes to our school-wide science fair, and then everyone who comes to that then votes on who goes to the district-wide science fair. We don't have any dates on the district-wide science fair, but these are our projected dates. And this is also an exit project for 8th graders. It is mandatory. Can't stress that enough. In December, we'll have our topic selection. Last year, unfortunately, we didn't choose the main topic or the field in which it should fall under. The district did, and then we gave students topics within that, and then we also had them research and see if there was something that they wanted to do themselves. February break, is when the project should be completed. Between December and February, we are using class time as well to go through the different steps of what the project should look like, what it should consist of. The first part of the project is done in Google Classroom or Google Docs, excuse me. And then in March, when we come back from the February break and get everything together, there'll be in-class presentations. We will present their Google Doc in front of the class, and they will explain it to us. And then in April, we will have the school-wide science fair where they take what they did on the Google Doc and put it on the big trifold boards, and it'll be presented in the gym for the school-wide science fair. Next slide, please. Ms. Hilton, do you want to add anything for 8th grade?
Yes, I'll just continue, just to reiterate what you said. Good afternoon, parents. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ms. Hilton, and I'm the 8th grade science teacher along with Mrs. Woods. If you can go back to the last slide, please. Thank you. I just want to stress the fact that the science fair is mandatory. Last year, we did very well in our 8th grade and our 7th grade department for science fair. So I want to stress that. Things that are not on the slide that I just want to bring to your attention. Class Dojo. If you go back to the Class Dojo slide, please. It is so imperative that you get onto Class Dojo backwards, sorry. I just want to point out that I've been working very hard to get everyone on Class Dojo. I showed a percentage of where we are in terms of Class Dojo back. Right there, thank you. So I just want to shout out 802 family. Right now we're 83% of parent connection. I told the class that they will get a prize once we get to 100%. 100% connection. I've been talking to families already, and families have reached out to me to understand what's going on. I respond as soon as I can. So please, I'm imploring you to just get on Class Dojo, because that's the best way, one of the best ways to communicate with me and to make sure that your child is progressing. I don't want it to be a situation where you're out of tune, you did not know what's going on. Through Class Dojo, you can have everything and information at your fingertips, and you can feel free to reach out to Ms. Woods and I. So shout out to Class 802. If your child is in Class 802, thank you, moms, thank you, dads, for signing up to Class Dojo. And I know everyone else will follow suit. Thank you in advance. I just want to also mention that this year our school focus is engaging students in learning. So in our science class, we're promoting the children having discussions. We will teach them protocols to have discussions so they're able to articulate themselves, so they understand the content, they can articulate what they don't understand and what they do understand. We recently just finished our Unit 1 pre-test, and Mrs. Woods and I make it to very transparent to our students. The pre-test is just prior to learning information. The class set a goal, and at the end of learning the content, they'll get their post-test. And the hope is that they meet that goal. I'm asking our families just to have conversations at home. Everything will be on Class Dojo or on Google Classroom. So you're going to be in the loop to have conversations with your children about what's going on in our science class. I look forward to working with you all. And again, if you want to reach me, I'm just an email, a message away on Class Dojo. Thank you and have a wonderful night.
Good evening, this is Ms. Briggs McDougan. If your child is in Class 891, we follow the same 6 units as the other science classes. If you would like to see what we've done thus far, we have all of our lessons in Google Classroom at this time. So I wanted to come on. I was not included in that slide because I teach 5 content areas and it was an oversight. But if you are a parent or guardian of Class 891, our grading policy, our curriculum, and all of the standards that we teach are exactly the same as every other 8th grade science class in the building. Thank you.
Next slide, I think, am I still up? That's 7th grade. Mr. Masonette will speak on 7th grade. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I know we're a little over time, so I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. I am the science teacher along with Miss Harrison. This year a lot of the focus will be in the chemistry aspect. So it's like beginning chemistry. Unit 1 will be properties and structures of matter, right? So we're going to be talking about the basics, the solid, liquid, gas. The kids find this a little interesting. It's easier for us to get the to do the hands-on activities. Then unit 2 is changing properties of matter and energy. So what happens when during phase changes? And we're also going to talk about how energy, thermal energy, how energy it goes in, and how actually when things get colder, they not actually are getting colder. That's because they are losing energy, right? So we can gain heat, but you don't really gain cold. You're just losing the heat. Then the next we go into there, and then it's we go into structures of life, which is life science, because like was said earlier, the 8th grade test will have all 3 grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So we go with structures of life. Then we go into geology, rock transformation. So then we'll be covering some of the things, that you remember when you were a child about igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks, things of that. And then we're going to go on one of the units that I like the best is impacts of changes to the earth, which is basically it's the new thing that we are trying to promote now with sustainability and engineering design. And this plays a key part. We're probably going to be doing this a little bit more because last year the science fair topic was about sustainability, and we had to practice the engineering design protocol, the scientific method in order to do our science fair. And a shout out, I know the 8th grade was interviewed, they won 2nd place, but 7th grade we won 1st place in the science fair last year, and we look forward to being competitive in the district as well. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can email me and we can move right along to the next slide. Thank you so much.
Ms. Brown? Al, you want me to read it for her if she's not here?
Hi.
Oh, hi, Ms. Brown.
Turn
Sorry.
on my video. Hi.
Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Brown. I am the 6th grade science teacher along with Mrs. Bevilacqua. The 6th grade curriculum, we are using the Amplify Science curriculum and our units of study. We will be going over the scientific investigation process, which is also known as the scientific method. We will be studying human as well as thermal energy. We have a unit on weather patterns. We study ecosystems and populations, as well as the oceans and climate and human impact on climates. Next. I think that's it. Okay.
This is the academic grading policy, and it goes across the board. Class, you've seen this earlier. We can go to the next slide. We're asking not to miss any missed work can be found in Google Classroom. So if your student's missing anything, we'll have it on Google Classroom. This is just our academic expectations and our grading system that we use in our classroom. Next. Our academic expectations. Please keep up to date with your Scholars Interactive Science Notebook. You can ask them to look at their notebook, and it should be easy to understand because they are being very organized with their science notebook. We're asking them to turn in all classwork and homework in a timely manner. Again, Google Classroom is your platform for anything if you want to know what's going on in the classroom. We're asking them to study daily. If they're saying they don't have any homework, ask them to go back and look over the slides for the lesson that's posted on Google Classroom. We're asking that they make up any missing assignments because at the end of 8th grade, they're still responsible for their 8th grade science state exam. The dates for that will be in a testing window. When we identify the exact date, we will communicate that to our families. Next slide. Our behavioral expectations. If your child was given a contract, it was asked to sign, it's housed in their notebook. Our class rules has been introduced to your children and is posted in the classroom. We're also keeping up something with the voice level monitoring in our classroom that was introduced and posted in our classroom. So that's just the behavioral expectations that the students are well aware of. Next slide. Classroom connection, a way to keep track of your child's assignment, assessment, and behavior. I've kind of mentioned this. Google Classroom. Ms. Woods mentioned the curriculum. It's posted in this link. So you can go to this link and see the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade curriculum. Class Dojo at your fingertips. Please join again so you can be in the loop. Teach Hub. And you must have a DOE email in order to access these resources. And as Ms. Leverett stated earlier, please, it's imperative that you get on your New York City school accounts so you can get to access these platforms. Next slide. And that's it for the science department. I speak collaboratively or collectively when I say we're looking forward to working with all our families, and we look forward to working with our children. IS 59 was on top for the science fair, and as Mr. Masonette said, we want to make sure that's the same thing going on this year. So again, we look forward to working with you all, and have a great evening. Social studies, sorry.
To the social studies department team, this is Miss Omar. Next, please. So Miss Robinson, Miss Clemens, Miss Perry, Miss Glean, Miss Edwards, and Miss McDougan are part of the team. Next, please. Miss Edwards and I work collaboratively for 6th grade. Next, please. We have 601, 631, 632, and 651 that is taught by myself, along with Miss Franklin for 631 and 632. Miss Edwards teaches 691. Next, please. 7th grade team.
The 7th grade team is myself, Mrs. Robinson. Good evening, everyone. IS 59 family. And I am a co-teacher with Mrs. Clemens. And next slide, please. 701, 702, 31, 32, and 51 are taught by myself, but Ms. Clemens and I co-teach 731 and 732. Ms. Edwards also teaches 7th grade, and she teaches class 793. Eighth grade. Our 8th grade teachers are Mrs. Perry Curtis, Mrs. Briggs McDougan, and Mrs. Glean. Next, please. And Mrs. Perry Curtis teaches 801, 802, 831, 832, and 851. She co-teaches 831 and 832 with Mrs. Glean, and Mrs. McDougan teaches class 891. The instructional expectations for the social studies department are: we expect your scholars to arrive to school on time. They should be prepared with their notebooks, writing instruments, and all of the supplies needed for success for the day. They are expected to respect the teacher and their peers, the opinions, and their beliefs. They should also complete all assigned classwork, homework, and tasks for the day. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you so much, Ms.
The
McDougan.
curriculum overviews for grade 6. This is Ms. Briggs McDougan. Good evening, families. The 6th grade overview for grade 6 is world history. For grade 7th is U.S. history, and for 8th grade is U.S. history 1865 to the present. Next slide, please. Grade 6 unit outcomes and assessment dates are subject to change. Week 1 is from 9/20 to 9/24, exploring the Eastern Hemisphere, Unit 1. The focus question, does geography determine development? How do people learn about geography of a place? The text and passport PowerPoint, bin 1, 5 themes of geography. And the 6th grade is using the FIRE model, so is 7th, and I am definitely using it with class 891. The unit vocabulary words are location, pace, interaction, hinder, adaptation, economic activity, 1, environment, continent, I'm sorry, modification, I got a lot going on. Modification, movement, development, human impact, region, equator, latitude, climate, resources, and longitude. Assessment in the project, students will create a travel article about their own borough or neighborhood, focusing on where geography has helped or hindered development. Next slide, please. This grade 7 unit outcomes, it's a little skewed. Unit 1, early human and Native American encounters. The outcome, scholars will evaluate Native American cultures before European exploration. Scholars will assess the motivations behind exploration. Scholars will determine the effect of European exploration had on Native cultures in the Americas. And the start and end dates are 9/24 to 10/24. Unit 2 is colonial development. Scholars will determine the motivation for colonial development. Scholars will examine life in the 13 colonies. Scholars will assess the aspects of British control that led to colonial dismay. The dates for that are 10/24 through 12/24. I'm just going along. Unit 3, the road to independence. Scholars will be able to explain the sequence of events led to the colonies declaring. And this is a little, I don't know if the slide is skewed, but this is what I'm saying. 12/24 to 12/25. Next slide, please. Okay, Unit 4, A New Nation. There is something, is there someone that can see what it says, because I can't, or is it skewed for everyone? Unit 4, Ms. Robinson, can you see that?
There is the view at the top.
There it is. Okay, there it is. I just jumped in because the social studies department did not chime in, so I jumped in. A New Nation. Scholars will be able to examine how the United States grew after the American Revolution. Scholars will be able to examine how the United States organized itself by creating a framework to government the country. That's 2/12 to 2 through 3/24. Unit 5, The Nation Expands. Scholars will be able to examine how the nation expanded out west. Scholars will examine the issues that initiated division within the country. That's 4/2 through 5/24. Unit 6, A Nation Divided. Scholars will examine the compromises made to prevent the Civil War. Scholars will describe the differences that caused the country to divide over slavery. Scholars will assess the effects of the Civil War, and that's 5/6 through 6/14, 2024. Next slide, please.
Good evening.
Go ahead, Miss. Wonderful. There you are, Miss Perry Curtis. Take it over.
Good evening, parents. My name is Charlotte Perry Curtis. Please forgive me for my technology deficiencies right now. Nothing wants to work for me, so please bear with me. When it comes to grade 8, I am the grade 8 social studies teachers for classes 801 through 832, and also for Rising Stars class 851. Now, as you can see, you have my unit outcomes and assessment dates. Obviously, they're going to be subject to change. So I have posted my unit outcomes on each class's Google Classroom. So parents, please, I invite you to go into Google Classroom, take a look at what your students are doing. And if you see something, say something. My email is there and you can reach me at any time. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, when we're in social studies, we have our next generation priority standards, and they are here on the screen. All right. So again, these next generation standards are also posted on Google Classroom. So you can definitely take a look at them at your earliest convenience. And again, if you have any questions, you can call me or email me. Next slide, please. All right, our grading policy is the same as the other classes. When it comes down to, classwork, it's 35%, quizzes, exam 20. So when it comes to the grading policy, again, it's uniform with all the others, with all the other subjects. Next slide, please. All right, we have our wonderful special education department. We have Mr. Briggs McDougan. We have Mrs. Clements and Ms. Glean. Ms. Clements, would you like to say something?
Thank you. We're just excited about the social studies curriculum this year. Ms. Robinson and I teach together 731 and 732. And we're just looking forward to having a great time this year and engaging the students. And we're thinking also about current events and connecting that to the curriculum as well.
All right, Ms. Glean.
Right there. It's like, well, I don't supposed to be careful.
Good night, everyone.
That's for like,
You know you're wrong for that.
old plan, but it's all right.
You know you're wrong for that, but I'll just take the blame for everything.
your mic?
It's fine.
So how you been?
Can someone mute them?
So the portfolio expectations in social studies is the same as for the other content areas. The students will be completing a portfolio each marking period, whereas it was stated before, they will be able to pull out their best work. They will identify the mandated assignments. They will also have opportunities to pick the items of their choice, which reflects their best effort. And it may not necessarily reflect the highest grade, but it reflects an opportunity where there was growth shown. And that is the purpose of the portfolio, so that you can see the growth of your scholar as each quarter progresses. Next slide, please.
I'll take it from here, Ms. Robinson. Thank you so much. So when it comes to portfolio expectations, especially for grade 8, they are required for graduation. And the students that were here in grade 7 are familiar with the portfolio format. Next slide, please. All right, so we have our instructional expectations. Arrive to school prepared with your notebook and pencil Make sure you keep up with classwork and homework. For grade 8 students, in order to be promoted to grade 9/graduate, you have to pass social studies and also science as well. When you're in class, you must maintain academic integrity. Plagiarism in any format will not be accepted. We encourage you to do your best at all times. Yes, this year will bring us challenges. If you encounter any bumps along the way, please speak to us. If you need any assistance, we are here for you. Next slide, please. Okay, a few reminders. Arrival time is at 8:10 a.m. Students line up in the schoolyard inside during inclement weather. Cell phones are not used in the building, and we do have a cell phone collection as turned during period run. All phones must be turned in. Next slide, please. Here we up for the foreign language / arts department.
Hi, how are you? This is Mr. Chang. Next slide, please. This is Mr. Chang. I'm teaching 7th grade visual art this year. Next slide, please. So I want to share about goal of class. This class is designed to support our students to expand their worldview and deepen their thinking power through exploring various artistic approaches, art skills, materials, and tools. Painting, drawing, collages, design, 3D artwork, and installation and art appreciation in my class become important vehicles for testing ideas, making judgments, forming values, and exercising curiosity. Our grading policy. Visual art grading policy a little bit differs slightly from other contents areas since art programs emphasize a hands-on task. Classwork is deeply related to the project. Students who want to succeed in my class must rigorously engage in all activities. The combined grade of classwork and project is 70% of the total grade. And the grading scale is level 4, as you see here. And the grade distribution per marking period is evenly 25%. It means that each marking period is critical to maintaining a good averages. Next slide, please. Students must be prepared and respectful and complete all assignments on time. They must also check Google Classroom regularly to access resources, assignments, grades, and teacher feedback. Next slide, please. The following material list has been posted on the orientation slide in Google Classroom. Please check with your child and help them prepare promptly. Next slide, please. New York State visual art standard has 4 major components: creating, presenting, responding, and connecting. The slide details each component. Next slide, please. This slide shows the outline of the 2024-25 7th grade visual art curriculum. It includes drawing, painting, 2D design, two-dimensional design, sculpture, and installation art. The projects reflect New York State visual art standards, New York City blueprint standards, social emotional learning standards, culturally responsive components, and the next generation standards from cross contents areas. Also, we have the School of Respect's poster exhibition. Also, the selected students' artworks will be displayed in PS Art, the Queensboro Art Festival, and the District 29 Art Exhibition in the mid-school years. Students also share their artistic talents to support the various school events. We will recruit members of the 2024-25 yearbook committee from seniors, our 8th graders. The selected committee members will participate in the yearbook club to design their yearbook. Senior students who applies for the yearbook committee must meet the behavior and academic expectations. Senior students can also apply for the yearbook cover design competitions. A selected design will be used for the cover. Next slide, please. All right. Please enjoy our students' art portfolio. They help you get a glimpse of what our art program offers. Thank you very much for listening, and back to the dance teachers.
Good evening. My name is Miss Thompson, and Miss Joseph is here somewhere. I'm 6th and 8th grade dance teacher. Miss Joseph is 7th and 8th grade. Next slide, please. So Miss Joseph's dance protocol was provided to the students via paper and I believe on her Google Classroom. and pretty much follows the same protocols as the rest of the school with being respectful in the classroom. We do have a few things that are a little bit different about where to place their items when they come into either dance room. Next slide, please. Dance supplies for Ms. Joseph's class. Above, you'll see the classes that she teaches. For her class, you need composition notebook, a pocket folder, loose leaf paper, a file folder, tissue, and air freshener, wipes and deodorant to freshen up. Your dance uniform, plain white t-shirt, black shorts or black sweatpants, ballet or jazz shoes, plain black t-shirt, black leggings or spandex shorts, leotard and skin tone tights, ballet shoes. Next slide, please. Same uniform for my class, 6th and 8th graders for Ms. Thompson. Same supply list. This has also been provided for you on Google Classroom. Young people and paper format. Young people can access this information on the Google Classroom. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Curriculum outline. We are going to develop dance skills and techniques with the young people. They'll look at some dance history, learn choreography, view and participate in performances, make connections to community and culture. Next slide, please. Homework grading policy and classwork participation policy is listed, again, provided on the Google Classroom and in paper format if you need to go over it in detail. Class participation is a big portion because it is a dance class. Next slide, please. Currently, these are the dates for our 3 performances. Our winter concert, December 19th, Black History Month show, February 27th, spring concert, May 30th. A date or 2 may change. We'll let you know. Auditions and rehearsals to be announced at a later date. There's also a School Multicultural Day. We also have a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration that will take place in October. We also offer a dance club after school for those students who are a bit more serious about dance and want to expand their technique. Those dates will be announced further down the road. Next slide, please. To contact either of the dance teachers, you can reach us at our email or call them in office and they will gladly connect you to us. Thank you. Next slide, Miss Espinal will be up next with the Spanish department.
All right, good evening, parents. Welcome to the World Language Spanish Department. I am Mrs. Espinal, and this year I will be teaching Spanish to classes 801, 802, 831, 832, 851, and 891. Next slide, please. Again, welcome to Spanish 1. Bienvenidos a la clase de español. This year, the focus in Spanish will be on learning the fundamental skills to listen, read, write, and speak in the target language, Spanish, and applying them in and outside of the classroom. As far as this applies, what those scholars will need, they will need a Spanish, a 1-subject notebook, 2 pens or pencils, and a class folder. I thought I put a dictionary there. They don't have to buy it. We have them in the classroom. They could use them, take them home, as long as they bring it back to the classroom. Next slide. As far as the grading policy, is the same as the other subjects. Tests and quizzes, 25%. The homework is 10%. Classwork participation, notebook checks, which are kept in the classroom, is 35%. Projects and portfolios are 30%. Talking about projects, I have to tell you that our first project will be on the Hispanic Heritage Month, as Ms. Thompson just mentioned. With that, I'm going to talk a bit about that. The Hispanic Heritage Month runs from September 15th through October 15th. To celebrate, our school will be hosting a special assembly for our students. The assembly will take place on Friday, October 11th, during periods 6, 7, and 8. Please know that all parents are invited. Come and support our students. Ms. Johnson asked me to also announce this in Spanish, so for our Latino parents. I'm going to speak in Spanish. A los padres latinos queremos tomar esta oportunidad para darles la bienvenida a nuestra escuela. También este mes estaremos celebrando el mes de la herencia hispana y vamos a tener una asamblea especial para nuestros padres y estudiantes. El evento será el 11 de octubre durante el 6º, 7º y 8º periodo. Y todos están invitados. Otra vez, bienvenidos a nuestra gran familia de la Escuela 59. Next slide, please. Okay, the following is the breakdown of the topics that we are going to be covering this year in Spanish. We are currently doing the preliminary unit, which is like the basics, greeting people, saying goodbye, introducing yourself, saying where you're from, days a month, and describing the weather. The next topic will be ¿Qué te gusta hacer? What do you like to do? Talking about activities, describing yourself and others, identifying people and things, and the use of the verb ser. Next, we have Mis amigos y yo, that's chapter 2, Somos estudiantes, chapter 3, and La escuela, chapter 4. Each chapter is 2 lessons, lesson 1 and lesson 2, which in the end is 8 units. The Rising Star will continue on with describing a house, household items, planning a party in shorts, sports, staying healthy, and body parts, and talking about events. That will reach the end of the unit for them. That will next continue with the Spanish region. Next slide, please. We close the year with the Spanish region, as I mentioned, also known as the Spanish proficiency tests. Again, only the Rising Stars, class A51, will be taking the exam. The exam is scheduled to be done on June 23rd, 2025. And that's only for class A51, the Rising Stars. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My email is jespinal17@schools.nyc.gov, or you can call me into school, leave a message, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Good evening, parents. I am Mrs. Nairn, and myself and my twin sister this year, who's new to the department, will be teaching physical education as well as health classes. For the PE classes, the grades have been split up as follows. I myself, Mrs. Nairn, I will be teaching all 6th grade PE classes as well as all 7th grade PE classes, with the exception of 751 and 791. And Mrs. Newman, she will be teaching all 8th grade PE classes and classes 751 and 791. For health, Mrs. Newman will be teaching all 6th grade classes with the exception of 651 and 691. Next slide, please. Here are our email addresses, just in case you need to contact us, but the primary form of contact will be on Class Dojo. If your child, if you do not have an account for your child, feel free to send us an email with your child's name and class number, and we'll be sure to add you on. You can also call the school and leave a message, and we have office hours every Tuesday from 2:30 till 3:10. Next slide, please. These are the PE and health education standards: personal health and fitness, which is standard number 1. Standard number 2, a safe and healthy environment. And standard number 3, resource management. Next slide, please. This is the schedule, a template. If you want to take a screenshot, this was also sent home in the newsletter. For when your child has physical education, it tells you which days of the week, but this is also on the back of the newsletter, which is also going to be posted on Google Classroom as well. Each class has physical education twice a week. Next slide, please. What to wear. So when your children come to physical education, we do not have a locker room. So however they come to school, that's how they're going to participate. They must have sneakers and full uniform to participate. We prefer for them to have black sneakers if they can. If not, whatever sneakers that they have. If they wear sweatpants, it can have no prints and no logos, no stripes. It has to be solid blue or solid black. If our female students are wearing a skirt or a dress, they must have leggings or shorts visibly underneath. Due to safety hazards and concerns, they're not allowed to wear boots, Crocs, foam runners, Yeezys, jeans, or long fingernails or tips. Next slide, please. This welcome letter was sent out to all families, which details and outlines the whole program and everything that you should expect, as well as their schedule and parent contact information. That's how we added you on Dojo as well. If you did not get one of these are also posted on Google Classroom, and it actually counted as your child's first homework assignment. Next slide, please. Our grading policy as follows. Projects which are posted on Google Classroom are 20%, and in-class projects as well, such as group assignments, are posted on Google Classroom. Exams are 35%, classwork is 40%, homework is 5%. All assignments and material are all posted on Google Classroom, and it's most importantly important that you look to make sure that your child doesn't only just turn in an assignment, but they complete an assignment, and DOE grades can be used to monitor your child's overall average. Next slide, please. The supply list for phys ed is as follows. Rubber sole sneakers, as I said, black is preferred, but whatever sneakers they would like. There's some students that come and they're brand new sneakers and they don't want to crease them. They don't want to get them dirty. So they can feel free to bring an extra pair of sneakers in their bag. A reusable water bottle, a hand towel, body spray, deodorant, and a sports bra. This is the supply list for your child. This was on the back of the newsletter as well. Next slide, please. For our assessments are taken electronically, which are our quizzes. Those are pop quizzes throughout the unit, which are small assessments. And then at the end of each unit, there is a unit test, which is a multiple choice test. Our fitness gram testing, our mandatory New York City testing is total fitness assessments for aerobic fitness, flexibility, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and body composition. So those tests are ongoing throughout the year, and they are mandated by New York City, and they're physical performance tests. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to turn it over to my coworker, co-teacher, Mrs. Newman, to take it over. Go ahead, Mrs. Newman.
Good evening, IS 59 families. So the health standards are right in line with the PE standards. You've seen that in the previous slides. Next slide, please. I'm going to continue with PE. The units of study this year will be community building, fitness gram, soccer, basketball, volleyball, aerobic fitness, and yoga. Please note that the New York City fitness gram testing will be ongoing throughout the year and during and a part of most units. Next slide, please. So on to health education. These are the units of study. We will be using the Health Smart curriculum, and the units of study are nutrition and physical activity, emotional and mental health, alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use prevention, abstinence, puberty, and sexual health, HIV, STI, and pregnancy prevention, violence and injury prevention. Next slide, please. So the health supply list, if your child can bring it on their next health class day, we greatly appreciate it. It's a composition notebook, 12 pencils, 12 pens, 2 folders, 1 red and 1 green, 3 highlighters, hand sanitizer, and 1 box of tissue. Next slide, please. The health education grading policy, so 25% will be classwork, that's participation, and notebook, task completion. 30% will be projects, performance, and end of the unit tasks. 35% will be exams, and 10% will be homework. All assignments and classroom materials will be posted on Google Classroom. Next slide, please. Okay, you can contact us using our email addresses. We're pretty much available at any time to answer those. Also, if you can please connect with us on Dojo. I know that you guys have connected with the core teachers already, but if you can connect with us on Dojo as well, that would be greatly appreciated. And you can always call the office to leave a message. Our office hours are every Tuesday from 2:30 to 3:10. So feel free to schedule an appointment to come in person or to just speak over the phone with any questions that you have. Next slide, please. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Hi, everyone. This is Ms. Sawi. I'll make this very brief. So for some of our scholars, we offer an opportunity for them to be inducted into the National Junior Honor Society. And that is an organization that is a national organization that recognizes students who have high academic achievement. And in addition to their academic achievement, they also have demonstrated excellence in areas of scholarship, leadership, service, character, and citizenship. Next slide, please. The requirements to be inducted or invited to be inducted to the National Junior Honor Society is that the students must have a GPA or overall grade point average of 85% or higher for each of the first 3 marking periods. They can also have no grade lower, so the minimum grade is 80% in all of their classes. That's the PE class, that's the art class, that's the dance class, that's lunch. Every single class, they must have an 80% overall, 80% average, and then their overall average has to be 85% or higher. There have been instances in the past when parents have contacted us or teachers have contacted us and said, oh, this person's average is a 90. How come they're not being asked to be inducted? Because in art, they got a 75. So they have to maintain an 80 average at every class minimum, and then overall average is an 85%. They must also have good conduct, and we usually, after we get the list of students who are nominated for National Junior Honor Society based on their grades, we then go to the teachers and say, is this person also a good person? Like, are they a good, they exhibit good character, leadership, they're in uniform, they, you know, help out, like what's their character? Because we don't just want to induct people because they have good grades, but we also want to have them be the role models for the building. Next slide, please. And if you have any questions about the National Junior Honor Society, feel free to reach out to myself, Ms. Sawi, in room 214, or Ms. Hardin Butts in room 213. You can also call the school and just leave a message for either one of us, and we'll get back to you. The decision for the National Junior Honor Society candidates is made at the end of marking period 3, and they must maintain that 85 average and that 80 minimum for all 3 marking periods. So that's marking period 1. Ms. Hardin Butts talked about how tough in math marking period 2 can be. That's marking period 2, and also marking period 3. And again, it's only open to 7th and 8th graders, but we do invite 6th grade students who met the criteria. We invite them to the ceremony so they can see what if they continue on that path, what their ceremony will be like when they get into 7th and 8th grade. Thank you.
Can I just add on that the scholars are also expected to do service, community service. So we have a health fair every year that we actually would mandate that they participate in that. They could do outside community service as well, but we want them to do community service as a unit, and that's usually at our health fair. I just wanted to add that on.
Hi, good evening again. My name is Ms. Thompson. This is Senior News, and congratulations to the graduating class of 2025. Yay! We have a senior committee. We have myself, Miss Miss Ebony Woods, and Miss Sawi. We also asked our 8th grade teachers to assist us with some things, and AP Dunstan is our leader for the senior committee. Senior News, in order for participate in senior activities, scholars must pass each of their classes and have satisfactory behavior. What does that look like? 65 or higher in all subjects, art, dance, and PE included. Adhere to dress code, no Crocs, no bubble slippers, etc. Hand in their actual working cell phone daily. Some of the students They have an old phone and they'll bring both of them to school and drop the one that doesn't work into the box and keep the one that does work in their pocket. We want them to turn in their working phone. Adhere to all rules and routines of the building and classroom. Next slide, please. Let's talk about safety. So
Add on with the dress code, we want to make sure that they are not wearing cut off or ripped off jeans as well.
correct. So your shirts should cover all body parts.
So safety.
Hands, we shouldn't see your belly. That's for the young ladies. Okay.
So safety. One of
Okay, go ahead.
One of the biggest things did out home traveling. So if my audio is choppy, I apologize. So let's talk about safety. We want all of our students to be safe. And one of the reasons why, it's important to be safe is because we have so many different initiatives coming up for our 8th graders, and we want to take them out of the building. We want to take them out of the state, and we can only do that if everyone is safe. So that means that they are responding to the rules and routines of the building. We also want to make sure that they are receptive when they are talked to by the adults in the building, not just the teachers, but all staff in the building. We also want to make sure that they display safe behavior. That's like keeping your hands to yourself, non-bullying, just being an overall, good character person, because we won't be able to take your child out of the building if they display any safety concerns. You will get notified if your child is not invited to any of the senior activities because of their behavior or because of their lack of safety within the building. It's very imperative that you have this conversation with your student, because we see it way too often when we're doing our senior activities that parents are like, and unfortunately, we can't take back the things that they did, because we have to keep everyone safe, and everyone's safety is our top concern. We cannot take someone out of the state or out of the building who is not receptive to us, because we can go somewhere and they're not trying to hear what we have to say or don't want to respond well to us. Then we're stuck, and we can't put ourselves or any of the children in those types of situations. So it's very important that you talk to your child about their safety, their behavior, they're responding to adults. Make sure that they have an adult in the building that they can come and talk to. Any concerns, just make sure that your child has that ability to talk for themselves and to let us know what's going on. Next slide, please. So we have some exciting news, which every year it is super exciting. Miss Thompson, Miss Sari, and myself, we get together. Miss Thompson is sending us emails in the summertime, and that's when our planning begins about what we want to do for our seniors. Next slide, please. So we have a host of activities for our seniors to look forward to this year. We have 3 days that will be announced. Please allow to pay. They're invited. Last year we had Camouflage Day, we had Twin Day. The year before that we had Bring Anything But a Book Bag Day. So we had kids bringing in mops and suitcases. These are great photo ops, great ways for them to connect with the community. It also gives the 6th grade and the 7th grade the opportunity to look up to something. We have different incentives that happens inside and outside of the building. We have a Valentine's Day dance coming up. We did bowling last year. So we have all of these different incentives coming up for our 8th graders, and it is definitely going to be a year for them to remember. We want them to build relationships that will carry on not only in middle school, but beyond. Next slide, please.
Okay, so measuring for cap and gowns have begun. I've already done 1.5 classes. Senior class pictures will be taking place in October. The date will be announced. So you're going to take a senior class, and then you're going to do a cap and gown portrait also in October. And our senior whole class picture usually takes place in April. That goes in the yearbook. It's usually the cover of the yearbook, depending on, or part of the yearbook, depending on what they decide, what the committee decides. Next slide, please. Oh, information about pictures will be handed out to you shortly. Senior news. The prom has been booked. It is June 4th. The senior trip, I am working on that right now. Almost booked. It will also take place in June. The award ceremony will take place in June for seniors. And our graduation, we're working on that date. We're almost finalized it. As we get all those information, all that information, we will provide it to you. You will see stuff posted in Google Classrooms. There will be things posted around the school for the young people. Our news class will tell us all about it. And there will be emails sent out, and Ms. Lever is very good at sending out information to the parents to let them know. Again, if you have any questions, concerns about senior activities, please contact myself, Ms. Woods, Ms. Sawi, Ms. Dunson, or even any of your 8th grade teachers, and they will gladly provide you with that information. Next slide. I believe that's the last slide. There we go. Ms. Dunson?
Yes, so this is we've been trying to follow up in the comments with any questions and answers. My email address has been placed. I've been replying to some families already. If you do have any questions, feel free to put it into the chat. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you, staff. Principal Cook, did you want to share anything?
Sure. So just a few last comments. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been a real pleasure connecting with each of you. We've connected so much this evening, from meeting our incredible teachers to learning about the exciting plans we have for our children this year. But the most important thing we've touched on in this vital situation is your involvement in your child's success. At IS59Q, we believe that education is a partnership between teachers, students, and mostly important you, the parents. Your support, encouragement, and involvement are the keys to helping your children thrive. We can't do this alone. We need you in this journey every step of the way. So let's continue working together, building a community that inspires greatness in each of our students. Your involvement in the greatest gift you can give them. Now, before we go, I'll leave you with this final thought, and of course, a little humor. Why did the student bring a ladder to school? Because they wanted to go to high school. Thank you again for being here, for your time, and for your commitment to your children's education. Let's make the school year the best one yet. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.